watching our third live video journal, Czech Center, New York. I'm your host, Anna Kotyzová, and it's such a great pleasure to welcome you all back here. We Czechs and Slovaks remember, my own parents included, the memory of the Prague Spring of 1968, which will forever be seared in our memory. And for those who don't know, on that day, on August 21st, 1968, Soviet troops occupied Czechoslovakia to really show who's in charge of the Eastern Communist bloc. But there was this one photographer who managed to escape, and he brought with him to his new home in America these rarely exhibited photographs. This photographer, his name is Dušan Neumann, documented the very first hours of this invasion. And to our good fortune, he's made 21 of his photographs available to the Czech Center New York for a really special online program and discussion. Let's take a look. Thank you, Dušan. You can also take a look at these photos and a special online discussion with Dušan Neumann at www.czechcenter.com. So today's guest is a Czech artist, and he's opted to stay in the city in spite of the pandemic. For all of our listeners in New York, we know it's turned out to be quite a hot summer. But this Czech artist, he continues to work. And he's decided to stay optimistic about the city, which is home to some of the most talented musicians in the United States. His name is Karel Růžička Jr., a saxophonist who's really carved out his own special, unique place here in the US. He may be the son of a famous Czech jazz icon, but he really found his voice when he came here in New York City in 1997. Times have told us how important community through the means of music is. And during his time in quarantine, Karel has spent his time expanding his musical knowledge and challenging himself as a composer and a player. Ready to start playing live again in New York City, Karel took some time to talk to us. So please take a look at an interview with Karel Růžička Jr.
Well, hi, it's great to have you, Karla, here in the Czech Center studio on the go.
Beautiful.
How you've been adapting and kind of, living in these circumstances, because you stayed in New York City the whole time.
Yeah, totally. Well, you just keep busy with what I would normally be doing, which is practicing, playing. I want to do maybe some piano stuff too, because it's kind of in the spirit of my father, who was a great piano player. And, I always played the piano, so like maybe play a little, do some, maybe a video with myself playing piano and saxophone or just piano. Keep writing. And then sometimes what happens when there's a deadline, then I write 10 tunes and, within like a month. Wow. That's like the best way. When there's a project, it's actually the easiest way for me to really stay in the zone. You get focused and just put all your attention into that, and and then you're really productive. It's all about just being creative, but also structure your time so you do something. The basic thing for me is if I want to get into it, just sit at the piano and just stay there and write something down.
That's awesome. That almost sounds like a meditation. It's like
It is a spiritual thing. You can't. It's kind of elusive, you know. It won't happen if you really want to happen. You know what I mean?
right, yeah.
Like things you really want usually don't pan out. You have to put the pressure out of it. But you just gotta be focused on what you're doing in the moment and let those you know, just don't put pressure on anything and anybody or myself even. But keep the focus going. You know, it's very important now to reach out because not everybody is doing well. You know.
Sure.
I think it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, and I have to understand that. And even though, you know, me personally, I feel okay, you know, I should have compassion for those who, you know, struggle. There's a lot of mental illness thing going on with it, depression, because people sometimes identify with their job, and then if they don't do it, now all of a sudden, oh, well, I'm not doing what I'm normally doing. I think it's better to just really go inside, kind of, and then and just really find what drives you, and you know, to be interested in what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's great. And also, so after COVID ends, hopefully, and we can meet in live venues again, do you think there will be a new sense of kind of enjoying more of live music?
I hope so. I think so. You know, I think so. You know, it might be different. You know, we might have less people, and things just might get a little, you know, different. It's going to be a different vibe, even in clubs.
For sure. I think I'd like to go back and ask how you kind of started, because I've been told that one of your first passions was trains, and so I was interested in how that morphed into music, or was it always there?
The music was kind of always there, you know. It was actually always the primary thing. I would always be like messing with my dad, you know, playing his piano, he would be writing music, and I would be distracting him. And when I make, Dad, can I play the piano a little bit? Can I mess, you know? Then he would like force me to practice. That's when I would like to get on the bicycle and leave, or like play soccer outside. So a lot of times there would be like, if I wanted to play, then he would not let me play, and then if I didn't want to practice, which I had to, you gotta learn the tune-up. This tune by Miles Davis, which has some like, you know, syncopation. And I was like 9 years old, tried to learn it on trumpet, and my dad used to like really vibe me about, man, dude, you're like, you know, you're rushing or something. Your rhythm is like all over the place. I was just a little boy trying to play the trumpet. Well, the thing is, I loved it. I always watched my dad do things. He was never mean about it, you know. But I was frustrated when things would not, you know. And eventually it just snapped, and I was able to, you know, there was a breakthrough, and all of a sudden I was able to do everything like that. So it's like you have to keep trying, and you gotta take it down in gradients. You know, when something is very difficult, slow it down, or like take, you know, practice in a focused way. You know, so it's I learned that very early on, and then, you know, I try to still be disciplined about that too. Now even.
Are there some specific albums, either Czech or American, that kept you inspired?
Certainly, I mean, you know, the first things I heard, I remember Kind of Blue, and you know, so my dad had me like learn all those hard tunes, get it out of the way, play the blues, learn the blues, rhythm changes, learn, you know, and then learn some harmonically challenging tunes.
You moved to New York. Did it feel like you fit into the community?
I mean, it's growing into it always. It's not about fitting in, actually. It was more about just doing the best I can, possibly, and then be professional about it, and be and sound consistent. So when people call you the second time, then you're still professional and sound good. Show up kind of early, you know, and be ready. I think that's the only way to really grow here. And you know, you can't get intimidated by somebody who's better. You should get inspired.
Sure, that's amazing.
You know,
well, you've played with some incredible names, like for me, Ravi Coltrane,
Roy Hargrove.
Yeah. How have they been? Have they been kind of guarding their music, or are they inviting?
No, it's very old, man. Like especially these people who are. Roy used to be very, you know, he would really teach you stuff. He would teach, hey man, like he would correct some things. But generally, you know, he even called me to do a sub for him in a festival in Prague, like in 1996. Like when I first visited New York. After that, I got to sit in with him, and then Wynton Marsalis even invited me to sit in on like some of those master classes in Prague, and told me, "Man, you're gonna come to New York. It's your only problem. You're not here in New York." So I mean, it was the opposite from being guarding the music. It just embraced me, you know, right away.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I was very lucky about that.
That's incredible. I mean, you've played in so many venues. Do you have any, like Monaco Glenna, which is one of my favorites?
Yeah, and the Jazz Dog. I love Jazz Dog. And you know, I like them all. Agartha, I like Agartha.
Yeah, and here in
I like them all. But here, Smalls, definitely. I love 55 Bar. And Village Vanguard, I don't really play there a lot, but you know, Smalls and 55 Bar, that's kind of the places I show up a lot. The Blue Note, I used to play the Blue Note.
Any advice that you would give yourself or young musicians in the Czech Republic that are trying to make it big in New York?
I just say, I just say do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just do it, like the Nike commercial.
Right.
I think, you know, if you are curious, the thing is to be intellectually curious about things. You have to be kind of, when you're a musician, you're kind of a little bit of a scientist too, because you have to be able to be wrong without taking it personally in order to learn and discover new things. So be hungry. So I would say, well, the young musicians, just be interested. Try to, like, when you do something, are you interested in what you're playing right now, or are you just noodling around?
Right.
But is there intention behind what you're doing? I'm sure that's the same with acting, you know?
Right.
You know, you respect the boundaries you have done by the art form.
Yeah.
But then you are free to break those things, those rules. There's no real rules, you know, like, forget about those.
Well, I think that
in jazz, you know.
And that's clear from your career too. I mean, you've played with so many ensembles and even...
You have to kind of, you know, what it is, like from ensemble to ensemble, project to project, I have to play differently too. It's still me. It's still going to be my sound. It's some of the characteristics of what I do, but you have to adjust to who's around you. It's always about the synergy between everybody in the ensemble, you know. It's a communication. Music is a form of communication. It's just like theater is, or movies, you know. You're telling the story. Hopefully you touch people.
If you couldn't play jazz, would you be happy as a musician in a different genre?
Oh, totally, totally. I mean, I would probably not be a classical musician, but I really love, you know, playing R&B, funk. There's so much music, Latin music. I do a lot of it. I think as a jazz musician, it is itself a fusion. You know, it's really like African American music with Latin elements. You know, it really, you know, it's African music mixed with a European harmonic sensibilities and melodic, and the instruments come from Europe, right? And everything kind of cooked. You know, it's like a slow cooked stew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That should always be the element of what jazz is. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a lot of slow cooked meals in jazz.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the interview.
Welcome! You are watching the Summer Live Video Journal in the Czech Center, New York, and the director of the center and of this wonderful show is a man called Miroslav Konvalina. Welcome, Mirek.
Thank you.
So I hear you have a cultural tip for us.
Yes. Do you remember last year Alex Dovis light show?
Yes, he was almost on the America's Got Talent, right?
Yes, and then he came to the Bohemian National Hall, and there was a great show celebrating 30 years anniversary of the Velvet Revolution. The light show, everybody remembers here.
Everyone remembers. It was amazing, yes.
So it was not easy to find a surprise for our audiences this year, and especially we are closed, only online. And I asked Věrka Vybíralová, one of the authors of Czech comics, and she drew for us comics-inspired illustrations. And we are trying to promote our programs through comics.
That's so cool. So she's created artistic teasers for the programs that are online now, is that right?
Exactly. We are trying to promote different genres like music, cinematography, literature, even science through the comics, because people are already bored to see only pictures and videos, and comics already always is trying to get attention and express emotions.
Yeah, no, and so, but unfortunately the Czech Center, the gallery is closed. Is there any other way that we can see these drawings, if not online?
Oh, we realized that there is only one place where people can socialize. It's outside the Bohemian National Hall, where is the seatings for Bohemian Spirit restaurants.
Right.
And we put these drawings on display on the windows of the Bohemian Spirit restaurant.
That's amazing. So people can have socially distanced lunches or dinners, but still see these comics at a distance.
Yes.
And we can still see them online to promote the programs at the Czech Center. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Mirek.
Always we have to find a way.
Always. So we saved the best for last, and that's, in Czech we would say to nejlepší nakonec, and that would be the excellent Czech violin player Gabriela Demeterová and the New York-based composer Mark Berman. Now, Mark was inspired by Antonín Dvořák, who's one of my own favorite composers, and he wrote a piece called La Gran Aventura Concerto for Violin and Orchestra specifically for Gabriela Demeterová. This concert was scheduled to appear at the Bohemian National Hall this year. Unfortunately, as you may have guessed, we have to postpone this concert until next year. However, Mark and Gabriela have prepared a really amazing and short extract of this piece of music just for us. Take a look.
I'm Mark Berman. I'm a composer, pianist, and conductor from New York City. And speaking of New York City, we are in the beautiful, iconic Central Park on a beautiful day as well. I'm thrilled and honored to be performing the world premiere of my violin concerto with the amazing, incomparable violinist, Gabriela Demeterová. And that's going to happen at the Bohemian National Hall at the Czech Center in Midtown Manhattan, right here. It's inspired by jazz, classical, flamenco, Ravel, as well as, of course, Dvorak. I'm very excited about this, as is Gabriela. On behalf of Gabriela Dimitrova and myself, Mark Berman, we are so looking forward to seeing you there and taking part in this celebration of life, which we all need these days.
Hello, I'm Gabriela Dimitrova, concert solo violinist and violist at the moment with our shy horses, Casey and Bernie. I'm extremely honored and excited to present to you a very exclusive demo of a new violin concerto composed by Mark Berman. Stress that it is very important and vital to get inspired by foreign countries, especially American culture. And all that he tried to put in his music, and the legacy for him was that American composers would get inspired by that and would try to pursue that.
So from all of us here at the Czech Center New York, enjoy, and we'll see you all next time. Ciao, ciao!